For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell here with Katie Windham, and this is Just a Minute. On Friday night, there were 4 10s scored between Alabama Gymnastics and LSU in their meet at Coleman Coliseum. Alabama was able to get 2 10s with Lily Hudson and Luis Blanco going back-to-back on beam, and LSU was able to get 2 10s as well. Ultimately, the Tigers ended up prevailing by almost the slimmest of margins with a .050. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the tens. Katie, is there, it seems like there's been a lot more tens this year, not just for Alabama, but across the board. Do you think there's a scoring or a judging problem this year in college gymnastics?
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to look at because really, I think at some points last year, I talked about this on the side about a bunch of teams were getting tens and Alabama didn't have any. And then this year they've gotten four, I think, total. Macari's Doghead's got one on bars. Luis has gotten two on beam, including the one this past Friday, like you talked about. And then Lily Hudson got her first ever 10 this past Friday on beam. But really, I think there is a scoring problem in college gymnastics where they're giving out tens. A 10 should mean perfect. It means there's no deductions in your routine, which judges are humans. They don't have an instant replay monitor. They see things as it happens and that's it. So if they're writing something down when something happens, they could miss it. And that is part of it. But there was even a time a couple weeks ago in a Florida meet, Florida has Trinity Thomas, one of the best collegiate gymnast of the last, really ever, but she's been with Florida the last couple of years and she's gotten a ton of perfect tens. And in their meet, against Missouri, I believe. She had a couple in that meet, and she even posted on her own Instagram story after the meet that one of them did not deserve a 10. And it's tough. There was a lot of people, if you go look at the Alabama gymnastics tweet of Lily Hudson's routine, a lot of people in the gymnastics community saying she didn't deserve a 10. But, it's tough on the gymnasts because they can't control the scores, and that's what head coach Ashley Johnson talked about after the meet. They can't control what they get. They can go out and do their best routine, and then it is in the hands of the judges. So, whether they deserve it or not, that's not in their control. But I do think that we've seen a ton of overinflated scores in gymnastics this year all around, not just in Alabama. Now, I do think Alabama and LSU both have really good teams, and I think both can compete for the SEC and the NCAA title. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they don't have good gymnasts or that all of them didn't necessarily deserve a 10. But I'm also saying I've seen it's just a subjective sport. So it's tough because you see some routines that score 10 that maybe didn't deserve it and some that looked really good that don't get it. And we also saw on Friday night a lot of times, which I wrote about this in my story after the meet, where the judges were way off in the two scores they gave. Like on beam, one gave a 10 and one would give a 9.8. Or on floor, there was one that gave a 9.95 and one gave a 9.7. So we saw these whacked up scores a lot on Friday. And I don't know enough about gymnastics judging to know the way to fix this, but I know there is an issue. But I do think a lot of times we see by the time it gets to postseason that it is something that kind of gets resolved and the judging is a little more strict. But sorry for rambling about all of this, but I do think there is a problem. And even though Alabama lost on Friday, they did put up a really big score for their season that will help them moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like there's an overcorrection of sorts because after last season, you had Alabama fans complaining about how their team, how their team didn't get any 10s over the course of the season. Now it seems like across the board, there are too many 10s. So these judges are in trouble no matter what they do, but hopefully they'll be able to find some middle ground in the near future. For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell here with Katie Windham. This has been Just a Minute. Thank you so much for watching.